Today was quite the day. It was the second annual Great Canadian Violent Community Meetup in Toronto. Sounds bigger than it is. Myself and Brian from Embryonic Robot and Chris from Stylus Meets Vinyl met in Toronto to go record shopping. And boy, did I do some damage. Find out all about our day. Coming up next. Stay tuned. Hey, Violent Community. Welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. As I mentioned off the top, went record shopping today with Brian from Embryonic Robot and Chris from Stylus Meets Vinyl. We met up last November to do the exact same thing. Chris lives about 4.5, 5 hours from Toronto, and he was in town, so he met up with Brian and I. We tried to recruit some other Southern Ontario VC members, but unfortunately everyone had previous obligations. So it was just the three of us again this year. And we had a lot of fun, spent a lot of money. We went to 3 record stores in downtown Toronto. We started off at Rotate This, and then we went down the street to Short Stack Records, and then trekked a couple kilometers across town and finished up at Sonic Boom. Boy, I could have dropped a fortune today. And I maybe did drop a small fortune, but it was worth it because we only get together once a year to do this. So I'm going to show you what I picked up today.
So the first place we went to was a store called Rotate This, which is on Ossington near Dundas in downtown Toronto. It's one of the oldest record stores in Toronto. A fair size, incredible selection.
So as I'm recording this, it's Saturday. It's the day after Black Friday. Black Friday's not nearly as big a deal up here in Canada as it is for our American friends, but we do still have Black Friday Record Store Day. And I was quite surprised at the record stores we went to. There was a ton of Black Friday Record Store Day stuff still there. I don't know if it was a combination of they're pressing more of it this year or people just aren't buying. I don't know, but there was no problem finding pretty much anything. There was only one thing I was looking for, and this is the anniversary edition of U2's Under a Blood Red Sky. What is this, 40th anniversary, I guess? What they did on this, I mean, aside from changing the title of the cover, it's a gatefold now. There's a poster in there, who cares? It's remastered and it's pressed on red vinyl. Cool. Obviously, I'm a really big U2 fan, and I have all the original first pressings, and I have some of the early remasters as well, and this is the first time this has been remastered. I think this is a fantastic live album. Maybe it's a live EP. I'm not sure. There's only 8 songs on it. It has the best version of Sunday Bloody Sunday that I think they ever issued. So, for all the factors, it's gatefold, it's colored vinyl, it's remastered. You know, I'm very interested to hear how this sounds, but definitely a good addition to my U2 collection. The next one that I picked up, I've been looking for a little while. First time I'd seen it in the wild, and I think Brian will be proud of me for this because he's a big fan of Leonard Cohen. Talks about him a lot. Leonard Cohen is a fairly revered songwriter here in Canada. I don't own anything by him. I mean, I know some of his big hits. So I wanted to start with this. This is called The Future, which was his album that came out in 92. My favorite Leonard Cohen song, which is Closing Time, is on here. Love that song. I remember watching that video countless times on Much Music back in the 90s. I loved it. And I said to Brian, is this a good place to start? And he goes, yeah. He says, I think you'll like it. So let's hope so. I'm excited about listening to this. Next thing I picked up is a bootleg. Delaney and Bonnie and Friends, live in Copenhagen, December 10th, 1969. I showed in my video, maybe it was, I think it was a live stream I did on Wednesday when we were talking about records we're thankful for, trending on that Chris Prophy thread. I showed Delaney and Bonnie on tour with Eric Clapton. I showed that album. It was one of my dad's. I'm thankful for it. This is from that same tour. What's awesome about this? Obviously, Delaney and Bonnie, Eric Clapton, George Harrison, Bobby Whitlock, Billy Preston, Bobby Keys, Rita Coolidge. Holy shit. I got to imagine this is even better than the other one. I'm pretty excited about this. Then I took a flyer on a used record that almost looks new. This is an album called I Am an Animal by Kate Boothman. Never heard it, didn't know what it sounded like, but I do know who Kate Boothman is. Obviously, singer-songwriter. She had a affiliation, or maybe it was a relationship, I'm not really sure, with Greg Keeler from Blue Rodeo. And this was recorded in 2017 at Lost Cause Studios, which is Greg Keeler's studio at his farm near Peterborough. Greg produced this. Greg plays electric guitar on here. And it has a lot of other people that I know. Anna Ruddick plays bass. She's been on tons of stuff. Ladies of the Canyon. A bunch of other bands that I know. Aaron Goldstein is on here. He had his own studio, but I know him as a pedal steel player, has played with a bunch of people. Was also in a band called Huron, which only put out one album, but it was amazing. He played with Daniel Romano. Great pedal steel player, great guitar player too, to be quite honest. So there's a lot of people on here that I know. So for $6, I took a flyer on this, and I've listened to the first half of it. It's actually really good. It's a blend of rock, some sort of psychedelic rock, and some folk. I really dig it, actually. So I'm glad for $6 that I picked this up, and can't wait to hear the second side of it. And while we were there, I got some VCLT from my VC comrades that I was with today. I'd given Brian something, which he'll probably show in his video, or maybe not, I don't know. But he reciprocated. Did not expect him to. This was wonderful. He surprised me with it after we walked out of the store. This is Blackie and the Rodeo Kings. This is their album, King of This Town, which came out 2020. This is Blackie and the Rodeo Kings right there. This is Stephen Faring. Colin Linden, very famous producer. And Tom Wilson, also known as Lee Harvey Osmond, is his moniker for his solo stuff. These guys are fantastic. I've got a couple other albums by them. I've heard this, but I didn't own it. So Brian picked this up for me, which I'm so grateful. Thank you, Brian. I love this band, and I've met these guys, seen them in concert, so I know I'm going to dig this for sure. And while we were at Rotate This, Chris got me some VCLT as well. I sent him some records ages ago. I'd sent him Beatles record and something by the band, and he'd sent me The Firm, but he got me something else, which I thought was cool. Very recognizable cover, Electric Light Orchestra, El Dorado. I don't know a ton of ELO, to be quite honest. I mean, I know Jeff Lynne, obviously. Jeff Lynne is the biggest Beatles fan in the world. One of the Traveling Wilburys, worked on the new Beatles song Now and Then. So I know who Jeff Lynne is. But haven't heard a lot of ELO. But Chris said, he knows how much I love the Beatles, and he goes, this would be a natural progression. He goes, I think you'll really like it. Thank you, Chris. This will be spinning tonight. So I thought Rotate This was fantastic. Tons of new vinyl, quite a bit of used vinyl. Their selection was awesome. Their store was great. Two beefs. Their used vinyl, very overpriced. I mean, yes, I got this for $6, but only because no one knows who the hell Kate Boothman is. Any other used vinyl that was anybody was like $20 and $30. Crazy. And here's the other thing. They don't clean their used vinyl. They just sleeve it. If you're going to charge $20 or $30 for used vinyl, clean the record. No excuse. Oh, and beef number 3, they put the goddamn sticker on the cover. You're a record store. You should know better. Shame on you. Other than that, I thought Rotate This was fantastic. Great store. I would certainly go there again. Then we made our way about half a kilometer down the street to literally a little hole in the wall called Short Stack Records. It was like a little addition on the side of a building. I love Short Stack Records. Tiny, tiny, tiny place. Awesome selection. Great price. And what I loved about them is, and I don't have the sticker on here, but he had a sticker on all of his records with the grading on it and marked that everything had been ultrasonically cleaned. Awesome. Awesome. For this tiny record store, great job. And here's the other thing. His used vinyl prices were awesome. Way better than the other two stores we went to. I got some great, great deals. The first thing I picked up is the Worst album by Creedence Clearwater Revival, Mardi Gras. I think this was the last one. This was the one when John Fogerty said, "You guys think you can do better? Have at her." But because I have everything else CCR ever put out, I grabbed this. This is in incredible shape. It's original press. It's looks like it's hardly ever been played. I think the only hit off of here was Hello Mary Lou, which was a cover. But I still need it because it's the only Creedence record that I didn't have. This was the find of the day at Short Stack. Bobby Charles. Who's Bobby Charles, you might ask? That is a good question. So this album originally came out in 1972. This is the 2013 remaster, repress. Bobby Charles was from, I want to say, Louisiana. He is sort of, as I have read, kind of one of the influential people that created that swamp pop, Louisiana Cajun and R&B and country fusion kind of stuff. I've been looking for this record for years and never found it. Yeah, you can get it on eBay or Discogs and pay quite significantly for it. So the fact that I paid less than 30, I think I paid $30 for this, I was okay with that. There's not a mark, barely a mark on the cover. The record looks like it's never been played, and it's the modern repress. Why am I interested in this Bobby Charles record? Well, I'm a big fan of the band, and in The Last Waltz, Bobby Charles does a song with the band and Dr. John. Down south in New Orleans, the prettiest girls I've ever seen. He doesn't appear in the film because that song, while it's on the record, doesn't make the film, unfortunately. But on this record, Rick Danko, Levon Helm, Garth Hudson, Richard Manuel, everyone in the band except Robbie Robertson. Also, Mac Romanek is on here, Dr. John. By all accounts, this is a fantastic record. And in fact, the owner of Short Stack said, "Ooh, this is a very good record." And I said, "I know, that's what I've heard, and I've been looking for it forever, and I'm a fan of the band, so I have to have it." And he said, "Yes, you do." So this absolutely was my find of the day. Absolutely thrilled. Bobby Charles. Got some more VCLT from Short Stack Records. Chris picked this up out of the dollar bin. ELO, a New World record. Again, I don't know anything about the songs that are on here. I mean, I may have heard some of them, I don't know. But again, I'm looking forward to it. And thank you, Chris. I think I'm really going to enjoy exploring some ELO. Then we made our way a couple kilometers across town to Sonic Boom. We were at Sonic Boom last year. It is a massive record store, probably the largest record store I've been to. You go in on the main level, there's some used stuff, and you go downstairs, just records as far as the eye can see. I was concerned about going to Sonic Boom because I'd already spent the bundle. But luckily, none of us found a ton that we wanted to buy at Sonic Boom. I think we walked out each with about one record, so I'm thankful for that. I saw a ton of stuff I could have bought, but nothing that I had to have except for this record. This is Rick White Plays the Sadies. I've talked about the Sadies before, Toronto country rock, psychedelic band. Amazing. Rick White is a rock singer-songwriter from somewhere in Canada. Has teamed up with the Sadies before. The Sadies and him and Greg Keeler from Blue Rodeo formed a band called The Unintended and put out a rock record, which I love. Rick released this album in 2022, in May. Earlier that year, Dallas Good from the Sadies, who is this guy here, that's his brother Travis there. Dallas died unexpectedly of a heart condition. And thankfully the Sadies have continued on as a trio. But Rick recorded this album as a tribute to Dallas. So it's him covering songs that were written by his friends, the Sadies, who he had collaborated with many times. So I can imagine what this might sound like because I know the Sadies. And I also know what Rick White sounds like. So I don't know if this is going to be more Rick White sounding or more Sadies sounding or somewhere in the middle. I don't know, but this is right in my wheelhouse, so pretty thrilled about this. So there you have it, folks. 3 record stores, a bunch of records, a lot of money spent, but it was certainly worth it. We had a blast. I look forward to seeing those guys again next year or hopefully sooner. Thanks everybody for watching. Catch you on the flip side.